used to pray very profusely or very much about our children and our youth ministry. And of course, my brother-in-law took over the youth ministry last year. He sort of had to pry it from my hands. And he's like, Donna, I don't need you to come anymore. I got this. And so that's growing, slowly, but growing. And they've had some really significant times around the fireplace. Love, and they're equipped. They minister to our kids. And we just spent the year or the half a year learning books of the Bible. So ask one of the kids in the grade school ages, what's the song? These are the books of the Bible. When you read them, makes you stronger.
We've got a great teaching team back there, and it appears we might be some of the upcoming changes for this next year that we might have be able to hire someone to oversee the children, which is going to be an incredible blessing, and probably they'll have to wrench that from your hands as well. But what a blessing that'll be, that's the primary ministry of somebody.
I would love to have high school open to high school, which I think we will actually do at least by the summer, if not before. We'll open up our youth group from middle school to high school. And then you and I started as children's pastors at the Boulder Valley Vineyard years and years and years ago. And I can't help but think that we're at the precipice. We're waiting. We're kind of like at the cliff going, okay, Lord, bring us more kids, more young families. And he's saying, it's coming, it's coming.
It's fun how hard work, faithfulness, not perfection, but just hanging in there and being consistent, the fruit comes. Like it says in Galatians 6, don't be weary in doing good, because at the proper time, harvest is reaped and yields, and it's pretty exciting. Another highlight for me was getting to do a missions trip. And last year, the Lord had kind of rebuked me, saying, don't forget the world. Don't harden your heart toward the world. Sometimes it feels like, well, we've got our hands full the way it is. But had a visit from our friend in India, who we've partnered with for 30 years now, visiting and inviting us. And so we went. We brought a team of 6 people to help plant churches in Myanmar and then also in India. And we raised money for the trip. And I was stunned.
How much money?
Oh, thank you for asking. Almost $66,000 was raised. And 2/3 of that was given, a little more than 2/3 of that was given to the people in Thailand on the border of Myanmar and to India, to help ministering to refugees from Myanmar, and then to help plant a church in India. And so that was not us. We were the conduits of raising the money, but over 100 people participated in this gift, which we brought. And that was trippy because it's not legal to fund religion in India. So we literally snuck in the money. It was pretty fun. Pretty. It felt like Brother Andrew smuggling Bibles into Russia, back in the day. So that was pretty cool. And speaking of missions, we've even though we've been a church plant, a new church, some people say, why don't you wait till you're established before you start pouring resources out? But we felt really from the Lord to be the church now, and that God would multiply it. But with your heart for Spanish speakers, we helped fund a new church plant in Burnsville, Minnesota, suburb of Minneapolis, actually right in the same neighborhood where George Floyd was killed. And so that we've completed funding of that work. And now we're helping fund a multicultural Spanish-speaking church in Fort Morgan, Colorado. And so it's been cool.
Let me just say that church is called Viña La Fuente.
La Fuente, what does that mean, Spanish speaker?
The fountain.
The Fountain Vineyard. That's the one in Burnsville.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So and we're also supporting a missionary who works with Muslims in somewhere in Muslim speaking country. And we just finished supporting as a church Steve Todd, who has been training church planters in Africa for the last 30 years. So it's been a privilege to participate in helping others with new works as well. And it'll be fun to see that continue. Locally, we've continued to partner with something called Longmont Helping Hands. And Melissa Brim is a member of our church. She heads up this ministry. It's a Facebook page of about 5,000 or 6,000 members. People post needs they have locally, and then members of the group meet those needs. And then it's facilitated by our dear friend Melissa. She does 3 or 4 outreaches a year, which we generally get to host or support her with. And I thought this last outreach we did was one of the best ones. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was a toy outreach for Christmas time for low-income
kids.
families.
Yeah.
And we actually got a lot of Spanish speakers as well. This time they got to go through the entire church. It was much more like a party, and they got to pick out their toys, couple toys
Personally.
personally per child. And
So
it
the
was
sanctuary was like a giant toy store.
It was.
Toys
And,
broken down by age categories. Yeah.
and we had our dear friends come up to be Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus, helpers
Tommy and Renee.
to Santa. So it was insanely generous outpouring of God's love through the community, for the community.
Yeah, the community gave toys to over 300 children, funneling through Longmont Helping Hands, and we got to host at the Vineyard. I was the first point of contact, giving out the ticket for the number of toys, number of kids, and of course we had families lined around the entire side of the building, waiting to get in and to meet Santa and Mrs. Claus. And